Hey, before we get started on today's episode, we have a quick disclaimer for you. Constable Bean is a little rowdy, and there might be a bit of cursing involved throughout our episodes. We are all about sharing authentic well being journeys, even if they're not always pretty, because, it'd be like that sometimes. So we want you to feel super comfortable and respected while you're tuning into our podcast. So if you're easily offended by colorful language. That was a great way of putting it. Great job, Jade. This podcast might not be for you, and that is okay. But we wish you well always. Now, let's jump into today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Concept Will Be in the podcast, where the intention is well. My name is Jade.
And I'm Aileen.
And we're your hosts for today's episode. If you're new, hi. If you're coming back, welcome back. So we are going to start off this episode with a couple of our moments. So we usually do either grateful moment, a well-being moment, or a fail moment. So we're going to mix and match. I think, Aileen, you have a grateful moment?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay, go.
So I'm grateful that I finally took time off. So
Ooh, okay.
it was great. I had like a whole week off to do and nothing. Everyone's like, so where are you going on vacation? I was like, nowhere. I'm just taking me time.
I'm so happy for you.
And then now it's like, well, it's almost 4th of July. And so I have a few extra days off. I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I need to not have a job.
Yeah. I feel like that's what PTO always shows me is like, I'm like, you know what? Do you want to go back?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of nice. But I'm so happy for you that you like took like a moment for yourself. I feel like that also counts as like a well-being moment too. I feel like you just like, you hit like,
Yes.
yeah,
I hit both. I feel
yes.
it.
Congratulations. So did you do anything fun during your week off or just like chill?
I got a facial with a friend, went for a walk by the beach. I hung out at home and did nothing, and it was great.
I love that.
And what else did I do? I went on a hike, just like random things. And then I saw friends that I hadn't seen for a while. I went to Disneyland, like, you know,
Oh,
just
just
random.
casual. Just, yeah,
Just,
just the norm. Yeah, just spa day, Disneyland, walking down the beach. No big deal. Love it.
the usual that we
Yeah,
like to do here in California that I don't ever have time to do anymore.
I'm happy for. Do you feel like refreshed? Like,
Yes. And
okay,
then I
good.
went back to work
Mm-hmm.
for what, like 5 days. And then I got 4 days off again. I'm like, this is great. I can
Nice.
keep doing this.
I know every time that there's a holiday, I'm like, this is so nice. When's the next holiday? And like, I'll look
Mm-hmm.
up the next one because I'm like, when do we get to do this again? We need to keep this one going. Keep the good
Yes.
times going.
Let's
Yes,
keep
I
it
love
going.
that for you. You had, I feel like that was like a wellness week
It
as
was.
well.
It was
Yeah,
nice though. I was like, oh, I could do this all the time.
yeah,
Because you feel like, even though I think usually when you take vacation, you're like on the go, you're exploring, you're doing something. And taking just a week off to like do whatever you want is actually really
yes.
nice. So,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree.
Okay, what moment are you doing? A well-being moment?
I'm doing a well-being moment because
Okay.
this one was new for me. Like I tried something new and I
Ooh,
was like, "Oh, what is this?" So, backstory at well, Aileen, I think you know. So like I was in Amsterdam and then I went to Germany
right.
for a couple of days. And so in Germany, they had this like I don't even know. It was called Liquid Room. And I was like, what is this? My friend sent it to me. She had been to Germany before. And she was like, this was my favorite thing that I did. And I was like, okay, what is it? She's like, it's kind of like a spa, like, take the day, spend the entire day there. And I was like, okay, what is it? It like, if you look it up, it looks really cool. I had no idea what I was going to go in there and do. So you like buy tickets but you could also like book like spa things.
Mm-hmm.
But the day that we went, we went like at nighttime because they had a DJ at the spa. And I'm like, what is this place? And so we get there and there's like this nice like outdoor pool and then there's like a bunch of saunas and then there's like a bunch of like little like I don't even know like little like pool area things.
Mm-hmm.
And in Germany, like people get naked. Like they're just like chilling naked. Like they're so naked. Like I'm just like I listen, that's great.
The real
Love it.
question is, did you join in? And
No, okay, so no, I didn't join in because it's not that I was afraid to get naked because I am not. It's just I didn't want to go into the sauna. Like I was like, it just didn't feel right. Like at that point, I had already had a little Aperol spritz because I was like, I was like, might as well. And I was like, going into the sauna after drinking, that seems reckless. So
the
I
sauna is
skipped that.
actually really good for you.
Is it? I know it is, but like
Yes,
after alcohol, like I was just like,
you're
ooh,
right.
I don't know how that's gonna go. But normally, like I do like saunas. I can do a sauna, but I was just like, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. I was like, there's a lot of people in there too. There was a bunch of little saunas. There was like one that was like a lavender sauna, one that was like a salt sauna. Like I was just like, what is going on? There was a bunch of them. But then, so I was sitting down by the pool and I was like, so what is like the big deal? Like, I was like, okay, so it's a bunch of saunas, like whoop de woo, you know? And then like me and my friend go exploring and we like stumble upon like this big room with like this big pool and there's like floating lights on it and everything and you like lay in there and you just float and since there's a DJ there's like music playing like in the air but also when you go underwater you can hear like when you're like floating and your ears are like in the water you can
Uh-huh.
hear the DJ and I was
Oh,
like this is fantastic. The water was like the perfect temperature and it's like so you're supposed to float there. So it's like a
mm-hmm.
bunch of like I think salt is in there and that's how you float. And so I floated in there and they give you like little floaties if you want, like little pool noodles to like support your neck and stuff cuz you know ergonomics. And so I floated in there for like an hour. And like I was with a group of people and they were like, Jade, we're gonna go into the sauna. Do you want to go? And I was like, no, I'm just chilling here floating. And it was the nicest thing. And this was important because like a couple of years ago, I had said to my therapist, I was like, I just feel the need to like float. Like, I don't know, like in just like a big body of water. I just feel the need to float. And she was like, okay, well, go find a pool or something. I never got to float. And I feel like that was my time to float. And so that was my wellness moment. I floated for like an hour and I was so happy. It
I
was
love
so
that.
nice. Yes. So that was my well moment.
I'm gonna look up this liquid room place.
Look it
Very
up. It
interesting.
looks so cool. Like I was just like, what is this? I had no idea. At first I was just like, okay, so like it's a bunch of like saunas. I mean, I guess I don't really see the hype. Like, yeah, cool. But then the room you go in there and I was like, oh, this is lit. It is so lit. And it's like a bunch of people. And the best thing is like no one bothered me. Like no one was like trying to talk to me. Like no one was like,
That's
you know what I'm saying?
fantastic.
Cause like everyone was just like in there floating too. Like there was no, yeah, at some point, like I was like, okay, Jade, maybe like hold on to the wall. Cause when you're floating, you're like floating into like the middle. You could like bump into people. So at one point I was like, let me like stay by the wall and just like float. But it was so nice. Like no one like even was just like tried to hold a conversation with me. It was so great. It was so nice. It was so relaxing.
That's awesome.
Yes. So that is it for our moments. Do we want to get into the
Yeah.
Saturn what is it? The Saturn retrograde?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Aileen, I think I need you to explain this because you're the one who told me what was going on. So basically, Saturn's in retrograde and you texted me, I don't know, was it like last week or something? I don't know what we were talking about. And you were like, yeah, it's the energy is just off, like because of Saturn.
Yeah.
And, get your life together. Basically, like it's the time to get your life together. And I was like, bet. That's all I know.
That's basically it. I think it's between now, right?
Hmm.
When Saturn is in retrograde, it's kind of like there's just like a lot of different energy right now. I think like Venus is in retrograde. There's a lot of
Yeah.
retrogrades right now. And it's basically making everyone kind of think about what you really want to do with your life, right? So,
Hmm.
especially for Taurus, which you're a Taurus, it's you need to become clear on what you want to do with your life and then start like thinking about the steps and taking those steps on how to get there, right? And it seems like for Tauruses, you have been thinking about like you want to do this other thing or you want to do something else, but you've kind of not taken the steps to get there. So it's really get clear on what you want and then start taking those steps to get there. And so I always like look out for, well, they say you have to look for your rising. Your rising and sun Taurus, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's big earth sign energy over here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm a Capricorn rising and a Leo sun. So for me, it was basically get your shit together too, because I'm a hot mess over here. Everyone is basically. We're all trying to figure stuff out. Um, but tomorrow is actually the Capricorn full moon.
It's the full moon, and I have a Capricorn moon, and I'm like, ugh.
I'm a Capricorn rising.
Yeah, this is why we get each other. Like, truly,
Yeah.
honestly. But yeah, like I saw that. I was like, I was walking outside yesterday, and I was like, the moon looks big. So I guess this is
Have
the
you, did you look at
closest.
it tonight? It
No,
looks
I
fabulous.
need to go look at it because I was like, the moon looks super big. And I guess
Yeah.
this is the moon that's closest to it. Like, this moon is the closest one. And I was like,
It
oh,
looks fantastic.
I'm gonna
Like
go
my
look at it.
dad, yeah, if you have a window, go look at it. Because my dad was like, "Hey, look at the moon." I was like, "Oh my God." And I actually went outside because there's like a balcony and the freaking my phone does not justify how beautiful it looks. It looks pretty awesome.
I'm gonna
So,
go look at it. I'm gonna go look at it. Are you gonna do any like full moon like rituals? Like, what's your vibe?
so I always do. So yesterday was the first
Yes.
of every month. I mix cinnamon, salt, and clove together and I blow it in through the front door of wherever I live.
Mm.
So one, it smells fantastic,
Yes.
but you're supposed to stand outside of your door and blow it in. Like you take like three little pinches of it and put it in your hand, and then you basically just say like, please fill my home with abundance, prosperity, peace, health, whatever you want, basically. And you
Mm-hmm.
just blow it in to like bring in like fresh new energy into your house. And you have to clean your house. Like you can't be doing this when it's like a hot mess in there. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Like make sure it's clean. Make sure your toilets are freaking clean. Like the
That was so specific. Just so specific.
and make sure that the toilet lid is closed.
Oh, okay.
Like don't leave it open.
Okay. That is very specific. See, okay,
Yes.
so I normally do that, but I am not at home. I did not make it back home after this Germany trip. Which is why I said Saturn, this retrograde is rocking
Hmm.
me. But normally I do that. Like in my apartment, I'll like blow cinnamon. I don't think I've put clove in there, but I can add that in there.
It
Um,
smells like Christmas. It's fantastic.
and I have clove. Like
Yeah.
I definitely have clove, so I'll do that. But um yeah, the retrograde, it is so I Googled it. I did Google it or like Google it. I TikToked it as I do. And it also said that like the Saturn retrograde is like a time where you'll like whatever lessons that you need to learn, you're gonna like they're gonna pop back up and you're going to need to learn them during this time. So, like, some reoccurring
Well, it's
themes might
like
pop up.
scandalous crap that's happening to us, what that's upsetting everyone.
Yes.
And I think that's where it's get clear on what you really want, right? It's bringing
Mhm.
these lessons and stuff up for us to be like, oh, like I really don't want this,
Yeah.
or to learn something, to take a step towards something that you really want, right? And
Yeah.
so, anyway, I need to hear about your experience with the Saturn retrograde.
I mean, okay, but I did write down, so, like, before I tell you the story of what happened, I also, like, revisited our first episode that we ever recorded to
Hmm.
listen to our intentions, and so since the Saturn retrograde, wants us to be super clear with what we want, I, like, re-listened and I, like, wrote down some more intentions for the podcast that I thought would be good for us to, just align on. I thought it would be cute to like kind of like a halfway mark between the
Okay,
year. I thought that would be cute. So, do you want to hear my intentions first or do you want to hear how Saturn kicked me in my face like 2 days in a row? I literally like threw myself on my bed crying. Like I was so sad.
listen, let's hear about your Saturn experience,
Okay.
then tell me the intentions.
Okay, okay, all right. So, first, a couple of lessons that I guess I needed to learn. Pay attention to details, which um, fine. The Saturn won. Saturn won. So I missed my flight home, um, from Germany, and I was so ready to come home. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, remember
How
with
did
Bali?
you miss
Exactly.
this?
How did I miss the flight? I don't know. I'm a
Listen,
grown up
before
adult.
you left, you thought that your flight was on a different day too. It's
And
something about this trip.
do you see no, I felt the same way. I literally got back to my parents' house because that's where I'm at right now. I'm in my parents' house. I literally got back here and I was like, I feel like that trip was cursed. Like I feel like I was like, I almost felt like I shouldn't have went on that trip.
And here I
Um,
am texting you. It's just Saturn.
no, no, honestly, like but all of it started to happen when Saturn, like it all, like the day Saturn went into retrograde, which I think like was June 17th. It was like I could pinpoint it. It was like June 17th, things started to crack off. And I was like, ugh, what is going on? Like this trip, like it really took a turn. Things were kind of already like we'll see how this goes. But June 17th, I was just like, ew, this energy is like I don't know. It also said TikTok also said that like you're gonna have to like for I think like make decisions and like give up like things that like are holding you back. And so I think I needed to realize what was holding me back, but it was just like, damn, like you don't have to be so aggressive with it. And I literally got back home and I was like, I don't understand why I have to learn all of these lessons in such a dramatic way. I said this to my parents, and this is before you told me it was Saturn retrograde. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, so long story short, I say that as after I just told you the long story. Um, we we were in Amsterdam, went to Germany, had a couple of little hiccups or whatever, and I was ready to go home. This was not the same energy as like when I was in Bali, where I was like, this is so peaceful, like this is so nice. I learned so much, I grew so much. It was not like that. When I tell you I was ready to go back to my little apartment, I was ready. And so I like literally the night before I checked into my flight and I used the app. This was for United Airlines, okay? And I had already changed my flight because I was supposed to fly out of Amsterdam, but I was going to be in Germany. So like the plan was like take the train from Germany back to Amsterdam and then fly out, which I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why would I do that? That's going to take like 8 hours of a train trip to get to the airport. I'm just going to change it so that I fly out of Germany, right? So
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna fly out of Germany, and United is like, oh, like just to let you know, like this is our partner airline or whatever, and so just be aware of that. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I check in for United, and the check-in time, I'm not lying to you, says 1:35. The entire time I'm checking in, everything says 1:35 p.m. Okay, and so because I am an adult woman, I know that I need to be at the airport 2 hours before for international flight, because I don't know this airport, but I have heard that the airport is pretty like slow with the way that they do like TSA check and stuff like that. So I was like, Jade, definitely get there 2 hours before. So wouldn't you believe I get there exactly 2 hours before. I'm like, I got all my stuff. I'm ready to go home, okay? Also, I'm slightly sick because I partied so hard in Germany. Like, it didn't make any sense. I literally was like getting back to the hotel at like 8 a.m. Like, who is she? She's balanced, okay? I was like, not you being a wellness girly, but also like being feral. But it's fine. And so I am ready to go home. I'm like slightly sick. I just want to get back to my apartment. And I get to the little ticket kiosk and I'm like, here's my passport. And she's like, oh, Jade, looks like you missed your flight. I said, excuse me? No, I didn't. I checked in. I have the flight thing. It's at 1:35. She's like, no, I think you missed your flight. I was like, no, you're stupid. I didn't say this, but in my head, I was like, no, crazy lady. Like, it says 1:35. It's literally like not 1:35. It's like 11:30. What are you talking about? And so she's just like, well, you're gonna have to call like United because this was like Lithuania. I don't know, Luswania. I don't know what airline it was. And that was their partner. And she's like, you're going to have to call United and you're going to have to like figure it out with them. And I was like, okay, fine. At this point, Aileen, I was being the most adult version of myself. I was like, that's fine. I'll just make a call. We'll just change a flight. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It was a big deal. I literally was on the phone. I was on hold for an hour and 30 minutes before I got to talk to someone. Okay. And then I was like, oh yeah, so the thing, let me tell you what happened. So yes, 1:35 was the check-in for the United flight. Okay, but then when I go to my email in small little teeny tiny letters, it says like the first half of the trip 10:30, 10:55. And I was like, you bitch, why wouldn't you write that in bigger letters? Like, why on the app is everything 1:35? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you make the check-in 1:35 if it's not 1:35? And then I get back home and I'm like, I realized like the entire trip was not on United. So why would you only put half the trip on the app? You know what I'm saying? Like that was fake. And so I get it. Like my lesson was to pay more attention to details or maybe like double check things before I do them. But at the same time, I was like, you guys are trifling for that. I ended up having to change my flight and this is right before, I don't know, have you seen like the storm that's happening on like, I don't know, on the other side of the country? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay, so I barely missed that storm. I literally was in the airport in Munich, and like the line down, like the customer service thing was crazy. And I was like, I wonder what's going on. My dumb self, like, I was just like, I don't get it, but whatever. Good luck to you guys. Just waiting on my little layover, get back home, realize that like I could have been stuck in this airport for like 4 to 5 days. Like, I could still be there right now, just miserable, just ready to go back home. And so I ended up being redirected to LAX because it just made more sense logistically and financially. And so I'm here chilling with my parents, which is fine because I was going to come here for 4th of July anyway. Um, but I really, at this point, have not been in my apartment for like an entire month. I want to go home. And so love my parents. I love hanging out with them, but I'm like running out of like moisturizer. You know what I'm saying? Like I did not pack for a month. I packed for 2 weeks. So what are we doing here? Anyways, so that's number one, right? I get back home, it's fine. The next day, I'm like, okay, I need to like wash my clothes. I had this brand, it's not brand new, it's vintage, but it was the first time I got to wear it. The first time I got to wear it was in Germany, or Amsterdam. This vintage kimono, or I don't know, no,
You're
vintage
like
like
the kimono queen.
I am. I love a kimono. I don't know if that's the proper. This one actually is a kimono. Like usually I'm like, is it like what's the difference between a kimono and a what are those things? Not a shawl, but like a duster. I feel like there's a difference between like a duster and a kimono. This one's actually a kimono.
Okay,
So
okay.
I have like this vintage kimono that I bought at like this thrift store. I literally got it tailored, like it's so fly, Aileen. Like I'm telling you, I'm killing it. And I'm like, okay, there's no tag on it or anything that like gives instructions for washing. Just to make sure that like the color doesn't bleed, I put like salt in there because I guess like if you put salt inside of the washing machine, like your colors won't bleed. That is also a lie because boy did the colors bleed. My kimono went from green and white to pink. It's pink now. It's so pink. It's pink and like light green. And I'm like, this is just like a really tough time for me. And I was just like really sad because
You
I
loved
only
it.
got to wear it once. I love that kimono. I was so sad. And yeah, I was like, okay, lesson learned. Like, if I don't know what to do, maybe like take extra precautions, maybe take it to like,
Maybe
but
hand wash it.
yeah, yeah, hand wash it, something. But lesson learned. But I was so distraught about my like, it was vintage. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I could like take it back and be like, hey, can you guys fix it? Or like, can I replace it? There's none of that. So
Right.
now I just have like this pink and green like thing. I look like a fucking watermelon. Like I'm just like so upset. So mad. And so that's when you texted me and you're like, hey, and I was just like, bro, I'm going through it. And you're like, it's Saturn. I'm like, oh, it is Saturn. And so now I'm like extra careful with things. And yeah, that's been my Saturn retrograde so far. Has anything fun happened to you?
People are just getting on my last nerve.
Oh,
I
I
cannot
respect
with
that.
them. I'm
Yeah.
just like, whatever. And then I don't know, like it's more of that and like me questioning like is this really the career path I want? Is there
Mm-hmm.
something else? Like what else could I do? And it's just like that stuff. But I really know, like realize like people are like testing me right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm coming after you.
You know what? But I feel like it's like the perfect time for you to like stand your ground and be like, I'm not taking this. Like that,
Well,
this,
that
yeah.
has like legitimately been me. And I just like come after people now. I'm like, I just don't have the patience. But I think a lot of people are like going through it.
I think so.
Like my boss essentially told me like he was promised like another job in 2 years. His 2 year mark is in August, and he's gonna look out what's best for himself. I said 100%. Like I back you on that. I support anyone that's looking out for what's best for themselves when it comes to like career things,
Of
right?
course.
And so someone else was like telling me like, "Oh, how exciting! Like you'll get his position." I said, "I don't think I want it."
That's real.
Like if someone, it's like yes, I want it from the financial aspect, but at the same time, like I would really have to think about it. I was like, if it does get offered to me, I would be like, I gotta think about it. Please hold.
Yeah, like responsibility wise, like do you want
Yeah,
all of that responsibility? Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, that was freaking Saturn for me. But what are your new intentions?
Okay, let me open up my notes app. Hold on. Please hold. Please hold.
I
Okay.
need to hear them.
Okay, so I wrote down intentions for the podcast, but then like since your text message was like, Jade, you need to be super clear on everything that you want. Like I also like wrote down like, okay, Jade, what do you actually want? And I will say, I do feel like I think I don't know if it's because you told me or like I just feel the need to like really like focus, but like now I feel like I'm like, okay, Jade, I'm moving April 2024. Like it's happening. So I'm like you need to align yourself with how that's going to happen. And so with that, I'm like, okay, Jade, you kind of got to maybe focus a little bit. So I like created an entire schedule and everything for myself. Like we're
Wow.
back on like writing blogs and everything because I'm not gonna lie, like the whole vacation after the vacation like really like it really took a toll on me, and I feel like I haven't been like focusing as much as I want to on the things that make me happy. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down like almost like a little like to-do list every day cuz I don't think that it's good for me to like make like big goals. I like to like break them up into little chunks. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you'll do this like for 30 minutes a day. And like that'll be enough to like get you to your goal in like a year. That's fine. And so I did that. But my intentions specifically on the podcast, um post once a week cuz I'm not going to lie, I feel like I messed up like the whole schedule that we had going because I was on vacation. I'm so sorry. So we need to get back to posting once a week. We were doing so good. And that is the promise that we made to everyone. Monday, we post once a week. every Monday at 2:22 a.m. And then I need to figure out a software to do audio and visual because it is time. I'm like
You
I'm going
just
to
want to
figure it
see
out.
my face. I know that's
Exactly.
it.
And I feel like our podcasts are so much fun when I could see your face. Like I could see your smile and everything. And so also I'm like, okay, like YouTube, like I said it, like we're gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out. I just think it just wasn't the right time. And I think now is the right time. I'm gonna figure it out. Which brings me to my next one, which is post on YouTube. And then post short clips of our podcasts on TikTok. And then I would like to interview our friends and subject matter experts just to hear their wellness stories, which was also a part of my initial intentions for this podcast.
Hmm.
And then create a community for a safe space for trying, which I feel like we are, and make sure that we're monetizing our podcast as well. So those are my intentions. Universe, do you hear me? Those are my intentions. Stop fucking playing with me. And don't act like I didn't say it out loud. Aileen, do you have anything that you would like to add since the universe, we have the universe's ears right now?
You're so funny.
I really looked up in the sky too. Like, don't play with me. Stop playing. It's
Well,
not the thing is, the
I
universe thinks
actually,
it's funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think this brings in a great leeway to our next episode and the book we're going to be talking about. But
Yes.
it's about how words affect our lives and how we can actually use words to better our situations and our lives and that sort of thing. But I think overall, I I think you had more of an intention on what this was like, and this was Jade's baby from the beginning. And I remember when we were sitting in my apartment and we're like, oh, well, let's do a podcast. Why not? Right. And my biggest thing was I really wanted it to feel like you guys, like people were coming over to my apartment, sitting on my couch, and we were just chatting, right? And they were part of our
Hmm.
conversation. And that was my biggest thing there. And it's really like people feeling comfortable listening and like laughing along. And, I think some of our topics are serious, but other ones are funny, right? And it's
Yes.
just like, why do these girls do this? But whatever. Um, I think that was it. But I think now is like you, like creating a safe space and really going through a journey with us in the different aspects of our lives. Because even if we continue this on for a year, right, we're going to be in a way different place in a year than we are today.
Yes.
And I think one of my main things for the podcast is I hope our listeners learn something new and they can better their lives out of it.
Okay, Oprah. Yeah. Yeah. And that's that on that. Okay, anything else? I feel like this is a beautiful, like natural, stopping point. Do we have any final words from Aileen? I feel like that was perfect, but do you have anything else to add?
Just because Saturn was reckless, don't let it ruin your life. Pick yourself up and keep going because the full moon is coming.
Period. And even if you had to throw yourself on the bed and cry for a little bit because you ruined a vintage kimono, it's okay. Just get back up. It's
Exactly.
okay. It's okay. We still ball. So we still ball, but that's fine. But with that being said, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you have a good day or a good night, and we hope that you are well. Bye.